everybody, welcome back to the channel. All right, it's time for April 2024's update to the general tier list. Now, I know the 8.4 has just finished, at least for me. A lot of you are going through it. Maybe you've already done it. Also, we've got spring cleaning. So this is going to be extremely helpful tier list. Also, though, I have done the best 7 stars to rank 2 and rank 3 and the best 6 stars to ascend. But here's going to be all of them regardless of 6 or 7. I will link those 2 videos as well as this spreadsheet and also the video on how to use this spreadsheet in the description. If you're brand new to this, just so you know, you're going to make your own copy. You can get rid of Alliance War. If you don't like Alliance War, you can get rid of the Battlegrounds ratings if you don't like that. I do think those are extremely helpful though, in letting you know these are sorts of nodes, defenders, metas, things like that that Kabam could throw at us. So I do like it a lot when we are fully evaluating a champion, but if you're not interested in that, you can remove it. And then also remember, this is, in my opinion, by far the best, most helpful spreadsheet in the game's history because of all the information shared by all the MCoC Illuminati and then created into this incredible spreadsheet by the spreadsheet wizards. And then last but not least, I think it is last but not least, Miss DK will put this all into an incredible screenshot size infographic, which I will put out on my Twitter at some time in the next week or two to help people out. I know everyone really likes it. Now, we've got a lot to get to, so I do want to get to it. We've got the new champions, and as always, we have the demotions, promotions that reflect the changes we're seeing in the meta as we use them and discover more about a champion. And then this truly is the last but not the least. Make sure to rank up the champion you enjoy most, right? Now, I'm not saying that Ghost Rider, regular old Ghost Rider, will now become better than Absorbing Man in your hands, but what I am saying is, if you like them, you're going to play them. And if you play them, you're going to know how to use them. And you are going to play them better than some other champion you saw on my spreadsheet or anyone else's tier list that you don't really know how to play. So always keep that in mind when spending your very precious resources that you've earned in this game. All right, we're going to start in the Mystic class, and then we will move through. And the Legend, don't worry. For those of you who are unfamiliar with my videos, we will scroll through this, and you will see the Legend at various parts. And again, it will also be on the spreadsheet. We're going to talk about the champions that have the little microphone emoji. And there's only one champion in Mystic that's new or being adjusted, and that's going to be Guillotine Deathless. MP Blaze has ranked theirs up, and a lot of you actually in the previous months have told me, I think you need to go take a look at Guillotine Deathless again. It's really it can be misleading to players. She doesn't even have an ability on her special one. It is the year 2024. This game is in its 10th year. And they put out a champion that doesn't have an ability on our SP1. So I think it's not surprising. I think it's understandable that a lot of us players were like, where's the beef? Some people know what that is. But where's the rest, essentially, right? I am still hopeful that when the whole Deathless team's put together or something like that, it will unlock an SP1. Because, spoiler alert, you got to wait a second. Everyone says spoiler alert and then go straight into it. The Deathless King Groot is going to be rated very, very high. Phenomenal champion. And so I hope that one's Scarlet with Deathless Guillotine. But here's the other thing is, like I said, MP Blaze is taking this to rank 3 and it's producing some pretty incredible eye-opening results as far as damage is concerned as degen. So very few champions are even immune to that. You can attach the relic as Campo put out, the CGR relic, and that's going to be helpful as well too. So if you're interested in that, and I know I really like Deathless Guillotine. She looks cool. I like the way they look in game, the profile picture, whole thing. I think that is a worthy potential rank up there. And we have her in the super premium tier. That means these are very good champions that are going to help you clear a lot of content. All right, let's go ahead and move on to Mutant. Moving up Mutant, we have no changes in the tier above all, and we do have a change in the top shelf, and I think a lot of you will not be surprised by this. If you've been paying enough attention to my channel, you know I've been a pretty big Danny Moonstar fan. I just have always admitted and said she can be frustrating to play. There are a lot of things to line up. You do need the Gambit Relic, but I'm producing pretty incredible results, and I know a lot of you have been believing me because, one, I've been putting out a lot of videos on it, and you could see with your own eyes. And also, as I've done more and more videos, there's been less and less comments calling her Danny Midstar or what have you, or these sorts of things, or just obviously coming in with a preconceived idea, not watching the video and making the comments. And those have been less and less and less. I think it's been helpful that I've been doing those videos, but then we also have champions like, or summoners like Andrew the Rough, Bittersteel, Forgotten, doing incredible things, taking out some absolutely massive health pools. We've talked about this. If you can line up that SB2 properly, you can play her and not lose your combo. You can bring in the synergy with Kushala, though, for a combo shield. She's doing great things. And this is one of the nice things about the Saga tactic, whatever, you know what I'm talking about. being implemented in War is I do think at times when done really well, it can give champions like her summoners have an incentive to use them and then realize that the tactic doesn't make them good. What it does is it gives the summoner a reason to use the champion, and they're like, oh wow, they are better than I thought they were. Remember, this is all coming with the champion who has a passive slow, a very long passive slow off her SP1. Now mine is only a Sig 40, but she is rank 3, but I don't think you need rank 3 for this. A Sig 40 very consistently will completely cancel out Nick Fury's life. If you're like, what are you talking about? Make sure you check out the playlist on my channel. It's got plenty of videos from me, Bitter Steel, and I believe Bitter might even be doing a showcase relatively soon. I hope he is. Moving on down, I did want to mention Havoc. I had Havoc on here last month. I was so sick when I recorded it, but I wanted to get it out. We hadn't missed a month in, I think, like, honestly, close to 4 years, as you can see. So I got it out, and I just completely forgot to talk about Havoc. Mention him now because I am planning to get out a Havoc video in the next week or two. He has really impressed me. He impressed me very much over the previous like month and a half with his energy resistance. I believe it's the incinerate immunity, his multiple ways of doing damage, his relatively not simple way of playing, but him not having to use a prescribed loop, to use DLL's terms, the ability to do like a damage over time effect with the also relatively large SP3. And then for someone like me who still is very far from 100% on the evades of Onslaught Special 1, Havoc is a phenomenal, phenomenal Onslaught counter. I will get that video out because this is definitely a champion that, similar to what I just said about Danny Moonstar, for me, that's what's happened with Havoc. And, you know, I mean this as a compliment, but he like just won't die. He just won't go away. This is a relatively old champion who continues to have uses come up due to nodes, defenders, or things like that. And often that's not a sign of just coincidence or serendipity. That's a sign this is a well-built champion that has a lot of lasting power. So, and I think it was Reed Lost. Yeah, Reed, what's up, buddy? Is a big fan of Havoc there. So I really enjoy Havoc, and I recommend you take a look at Havoc if you're like me and you've pulled him multiple times out of maybe the Titan Crystal or things like that. All right, let's go ahead and move on to Science. Moving on to Science. Now, I know there's a lot of champions in the second tier in the top shelf. Don't worry, Thing is the last. I went back and made sure. There are no changes in the tier above all. I need to talk about Red Guardian. About 3 months ago, I was able to test his buff on the CCP server. I came away amazed, so excited for him. And then, you know, they did tune down his long form, but actually slightly adjusted his short and medium form damage. And he is now live. And I just couldn't take him to rank 5 and ascend him. It actually kind of irritated me because I love Red Guardian. I love Red Guardian from the Black Widow Deadly Origin movie. I just loved the character, everything about it. So cool, right? Buff immune, refreshable slow, massive damage off the SB2, pounding on the opponent with heavies in the corner, big yellow numbers, big red numbers. Like it's like they're like, hey, Vega, what are all the kind of just like testosterone cool things you like about this game? And I was like, massive damage, massive yellow, massive red, heavy in the corner, just do it, go for it, you know, the whole thing. And then they put it all in one champion. I have finally been able to ascend mine. I will be getting that video out very, very soon. It's been cool to see MCoC Grass and Nagase doing awesome things with the Guardian, and it is time for me to join the party too. It also has caused me to reevaluate his rating because he is live, right? A lot of this is like, what do we think? How do we think this is going to play into the game? It's very clear that he's a dominant force, particularly in Battlegrounds. I think we're going to see him doing great things in War, and I really do think you're going to see him doing great things in questing content as long as it's not too large of a health pool. And even then, once you get him set up, he's pretty good to go, and his setup is relatively fast. Remember, I think it's his combat power rate actually gets stronger when he has the slow from the SP1. So he's fantastic. Really love that champion. Moving down, we have our first new champion of the month in Spider-Punk. And I think when any champion comes into the game with this much hype, right? Like everyone has seen the Miles Morales movies, the Into the Spider-Verse. I think all of us, not all of us, but the vast majority of us saw Spider-Punk. Such a great character from that. A lot of people knew him from the comics, things like that, I'm sure. But this is a champion a lot of people wanted, essentially, okay? And so I think our hopes and our dreams and our desires are massive. And in my opinion, the designer of this champion actually did a phenomenal job of making us feel like we're playing Spider-Punk and putting that into the game. I think he's fantastic. He's a ton of fun. We've live tested, stream tested him, Prowler, and Deathless King Groot. I came away incredibly impressed by all of them. The thing with Spider-Punk, and this is what I'm reading a lot in line chat, Discord, YouTube, and things like that, is people I think are finding the damage to be a little low. And what I need to remind you of, and this is what we talked about on the live stream, is remember, he has that crowd mechanic. I believe it goes up to 300. In Battlegrounds, when used offensively, not defensively, offensively, he's going to start with 150. When you think about that, that is a 50% like increase from what you're seeing, not completely, but in the crowd anyways, from what you're seeing when you go and you're testing him against Winter Soldier, okay? Also, I do think AI is going to matter for him. That's why, it's one of the reasons I didn't say I don't like him, but he might not be for me, is I find that champions where the AI, if they can influence the fight that much, it begins to get frustrating for me, and I don't enjoy that. However, he has a really nice built-in mechanic to help him do these evades and safely. It's a great build. You want to hit your SP2 minigame, and then you're going to go in to your special one, and I think it's going to be like burst the ruptures. And if you look at the signature ability, we talked about this on stream, DL even joined, you want him at that high sig, and those ruptures really are going to burst for big. I'm telling you this because I've seen it. I'm not just prognosticating, I'm not extrapolating from the kit. I'm saying I have seen it. I think as time goes on, as people have got him ranked up, as they put him into their Battlegrounds deck and they get the opportunity to use him in metas that are like just not against him, I don't think they're even gonna have to be like ultimately very friendly. I think you're gonna see some really cool things. Now, I realize that doesn't mean he's going to be for everyone, and I get it. People were excited. So I understand why there are some negative feelings about him right now, but I think give him a couple months and a lot of those are gonna dissipate because people are gonna realize he can do a ton of damage. You get him going, he's going to do great. Remember, he can carry over the crowd to multiple fights. And in Battlegrounds, he's going to start with 150. And then also remember, and we talked about this on the stream too, he has a lot of built-in power control with that whole, I don't remember the term, it's similar to Mr. Fantastics, but it's in a signature ability when they throw the opponent throws the repeated specials, you're going to get a nice damage reduction. He put it on a lot of debuffs. If you're respecting to inequity, it's going to be really, really, really nice. And his damage source is ruptures, which very, very few, if any, champions are actually immune to. So I think he's placed nicely. I don't see him moving into the tier above all, but I definitely don't think we're looking at a super premium champion. Okay, let's go ahead and move on to tech. Moving on to tech, we have two champions we're going to talk about. Tier above all has no changes. Those are phenomenal, fantastic champions. In fact, actually, we're going to talk about three champions. I'm going to add the microphone to Shocker because I want to touch on Shocker very, very quickly because we're not going to talk about him long. I'm going to jump all the way over to premium, and that's Kang. And I know like Jay Will is a big fan of Kang, and I get it. And if you have him with the right synergy, he can be pretty powerful. He really can. And some of you even pointed that out. And so I went through and I adjusted the rankings to reflect that because it is intended. That's what this one of the things the spreadsheet's intended to do. But I also know people look at the spreadsheet and they rely on it even more than I would like them to make up their ranked up decisions. And I just can't, in good conscience, put him any higher. I did rate him where I think it's fair. I think, as we've talked about, you can take a premium champion and do great things with him. So you get him with the synergy. I think that's a great spot for him. And you may even be able to get top shelf results with your Kang in very certain scenarios. But to just go ahead and put that on a tier list that I know people are going to take a look at, I don't want them ranking up their Kang. And I do think also this is an accurate reflection of about where I value him in this game. Okay, now we're going to go back to talk, and we'll talk about Shocker, so I don't forget. I did do the video on Shocker, right? The news kind of came out that something had changed with him, and it's more of a silver lining. I'm not happy I got sick, but I had happened to have been sick. I had recorded a footage, and I had put it together to voice over a full video on Shocker, but I got so sick I was not able to do it. And then I read about what sounded like it was a nerf to Shocker as a way to kind of be like, all right, let's objectively look at this. I voiced over that video without having watched it again. And the point of that video is to show you how amazing he was and why we had him in the tier above all. I watched the video and literally nothing about what had changed would have influenced any of the fights I showed except for the very end, which was Storm Pyramid X. And I think because of what the change was, I think he's still going to work. You might have to beat out one more special one from Storm Pyramid X. Just to take a second, Shocker was not directly nerfed. Nothing about Shocker was directly changed. Just had to change with the order of operations, is my understanding, or the calculations of the glancing mechanic in game. I understand that sucks. I'm not trying to say it doesn't. And yes, Kabam should have definitely communicated that. There is no doubt in my mind of that. My understanding is that they have apologized for it and that we will be getting ranked down tickets. That's my understanding that Mike put that out on the forums. Well done, kudos. Everyone makes mistakes. It takes a mature adult to write a message like that. Nice decision, in my opinion, Kabam and Kabam Mike. Thank you for doing that. What we have to evaluate, though, is Shocker in his current form. And I watched that video and I come away thinking this is a tier above all champion. That being said, like I said in that video, I want to have some kind of like journalistic integrity or something like that. I'm going to put him in the top shelf for now. We adjusted a couple things down. Maybe he stays there. I think in the next month or two, we probably see him right back up at tier above all. We'll see. But he's still a fantastic, phenomenal champion. If you've got your Shocker, I think you should take a look at the champion you have right now and evaluate from there. Now, going on to Prowler, a new champion. This is where, again, Illuminati coming in strong. They always do because this game is so big, so complex. Everyone plays different champions. Bitter Steel has gotten Prowler. The showcase video will be coming out. He's let us all know it will be coming. I cannot wait to see it. My concerns with Prowler have completely been alleviated by Bitter and everything he has shown us. My concerns with Prowler is that the windows would be too tight to line up the Falter and the Incinerate, and that the fights that you were wanting to use Prowler for, you were going to suffer for having to land and Incinerate. He's shown us, no, that is not the case. That is not how it's turning out. Now, I have a rank 5 Prowler, and I've tried using him in Battlegrounds. I have currently found it frustrating, but much of that is due to my lack of familiarity with Prowler. That is not a problem for Prowler. That's a problem for me if I'm going to rank him up. He's fantastic. He's great. I was watching Pepe stream today. Pepe had Prowler in his deck. Pepe, you know, phenomenal Battlegrounds player. I see a lot of war capabilities, and I see a ton of questing too. Dot grinded out his Prowler, has shown us some stuff. I think Prowler is here to stay, and honestly, I actually intentionally went a little low on Prowler's war rankings because I haven't seen it yet. But I feel confident that in the next 2 to 4 months, we're going to see a lot of war content on Prowler, and that Prowler is either going to move up in the top shelf above Omega Sentinel and possibly get into the tier above all. This is a fantastic, fantastic champion that I'm very interested in seeing if I can get them down, because I see the power and I want to be able to use it in my own Battlegrounds deck and in questing and things like that. That is tech. Let's go ahead and move on to skill. There are no changes in skill. We talked about this a little bit in the best 6 stars to ascend, best 7 stars to rank. That their tier above all is incredibly strong. I don't think we're going to see them at 7 stars for a very, very long time. Their top shelf is kind of an interesting place, right? The skill does have some defining characteristics, but what we have available 7 stars, I think, is split around quite a bit. I could see, and I've been talking about this a bit, I want to mention this almost every time I can when a tier list comes up. I could see a Tuma moving down. The thing is, raw abilities, like the abilities that are in him, I think about this very similar to the way I was talking about mutants just a few months ago, is that when I look at like his power budget as far as what abilities are in his kit, he is very strong, and he is incredibly unique, not just in his class, but in the game with the way he works with ability accuracy. He's just not fast. He's just not quick. But because skill has grown so much, and there's so many, if you look at the top shelf and how many of those are new champions as far as like the last like 2 years, there's a chance they're starting to kind of swallow him up, and he may move down a little bit. So I do want to point that out. But aside from that, I think skill looks really good. And there are no adjustments for this month. Let's move on to Cosmic. Moving on to Cosmic, you can see no change in the tier above all. It's pretty much the exact same scenario I just talked about with skill. I highly doubt we see any of those champions anytime soon. In fact, with Cosmic, I could see us seeing Gallon. Not sure we're seeing Cosmic Ghost Rider. And honestly, I think when we do the big revamp in June, you're going to see Cosmic Ghost Rider go up a little bit. We talked about that at length in the Battlegrounds tier list, because a lot of that's what's going to be reflected there, right? Moving on to the top shelf, we have Adam Warlock with an actual promotion. Now, Adam Warlock, I think a lot of it's going to, I do think that there is a skill ask. And I think if you're a high skill player, or if you want to become high skill at Adam Warlock, you're going to get phenomenal results. Bitter Steel, I know I mentioned his name a lot in this one already, but he's been working on some showcases. He's been showing myself on the MCoC Illuminati a lot of the videos of what he's been working on. It's pretty wild what Adam Warlock's doing. I think it's a lot of it is the things we all thought Adam Warlock might do when we read the kit, when he first was coming to the game, and then we played him in the AI, and I think for a lot of us, it just got almost frustrating to deal with, so we moved on. And if you look at the tier above all, there were a lot of cosmics calling our attention who are available 6 stars. Well, Adam Warlock's available as a 7-star right now. And it is pretty eye-opening. It's pretty eye-popping. If I get the 7-star, if I was able to get the 7-star, I would very much look to try again, at least if I can work with the AI, if I can work with Adam's ability set. Make sure you keep an eye on Bitter's channel for that showcase as well as the others we have mentioned. But he definitely has gotten a large increase in Battlegrounds and in meta and in his own flow mechanic, because his flow is actually very good. His flow, as far as his abilities be there, the way they work together, how hard is he to throw off, and those sorts of things. It's more ease of use, I think, where he can get thrown off, less flow. So as a result, Adam has been promoted. Next one is another new champion this month is Deathless King Groot. We live tested him. Now, he's not that different from regular King Groot. However, a lot of King Groot's healing was turned into damage. As a player of this game who enjoys damage and feels like that is a really good way to go about doing things, I'm very happy with that. You can see where we have regular King Groot ranked, and you can see we have Deathless King Groot ranked. Deathless King Groot also does incinerate damage and those sorts of things, so they're not exactly the same, but a lot of similar mechanics, and I'm very, very happy to trade what was almost like an overabundance of healing for King Groot for a very, very solid amount of damage. I talked about in some of this. I think Deathless King Groot is actually a very worthy 7-star rank up for a lot of us, especially when you compare for what's available to the Cosmic class. And then the last champion we'll talk about for today's video is going to be Vox. I know Vox has their fans, and Vox is like a perfect example of something that I see time and time again, month and month again, for, as you can see, for like almost 4 years now in doing these tier lists, is yes, they are great. They really are. And I know that. And I know from the comments that, so that's like almost the like epitome of this column is people are going to do great things with them in questing and EQ, wherever, in various places, probably even Battlegrounds, because they can do tremendous things. The reason why Vox is here and not higher up is right now, when it comes to your more competitive nodes, your more competitive modes and game sets, Vox can be a little stressful to play, in my opinion. I have recently awakened Vox. I really like them. I see power. I don't like, you have to go to the SP2 to get their anti-miss mechanic, because I feel like if you're wanting to have anti-miss, you usually aren't wanting to go all the way to your SP2. So I'm not saying it's not there, but I don't give it as much credit as I would if it was off the SP1 or if it was just like, you know, any special or something like that. I do think they're a great undermine, right? Like auto block counter off the special one. So there's that. The tremendous power opportunity if you can line up your specials with the degens and flip them with the basic and things like that. So I get it. I see it. I just have found that defenders or nodes or the two working in combination can often throw me off. And as a result, I have Vox right about there. I'm not seeing him that much in battle. I'm not seeing that much in war. If those aren't your modes, Vox is going to move right on up. Thank you so much for watching. As usual, let me know what you think we got right. Let me know what you think we got wrong. Remember, the spreadsheet will be linked in the description. You can go, open it up, make your own copy. If you're interested in a more specific conversation just about the best 7 stars to rank 2 or rank 3, or the best 6 stars or 5 stars to ascend, those videos will also be linked in the description. Thank you so much to MCoC Illuminati and the Spreadsheet Wizards. Thank you so much for watching. Take care.